Imaging finding a rare coin so rare it could pay off your house today, we're diving into 10 of the most valuable U.S. coins ever found. Real coins worth hundreds and even millions of dollars or more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss the next rare find. Let's start this.
Imagine reaching into a jar of old pennies, the kind that's been sitting on a shelf for years, and pulling out a small copper coin that most people would overlook. It's darkened with age, maybe a little shiny around Lincoln's cheek, and it carries a tiny letter beneath the date. That single letter could mean the difference between 1 cent and a small fortune. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating story of the United States of America 1971's mint mark Lincoln 1 cent penny, a coin that might look ordinary but has captured the attention of collectors around the world. The Lincoln Cent is one of the most iconic coins in American history. First introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, it became the first regular U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure. By 1971, the Lincoln penny had already been in circulation for more than 60 years. The design was familiar: Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the obverse, created by Victor David Brenner, and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, designed by Frank Gasparo. For many Americans, it was simply pocket change. But for collectors, every detail mattered. Now let's talk about that tiny mint mark. In 1971, pennies were struck at 3 different U.S. mint facilities: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins from Philadelphia typically carried no mint mark at that time. Denver coins featured a D, and coins struck in San Francisco carried the S mint mark, located just below the date on the obverse. The San Francisco Mint was especially known for producing proof coins, specially made coins struck with extra care for collectors. The 1971 South Lincoln Cent exists in 2 primary versions: regular proof coins and a rare variety known as the double die obverse. Proof coins from San Francisco were struck using specially prepared dies and polished planchets, resulting in mirror-like fields and sharp details. They were never intended for circulation. Instead, they were sold in proof sets to collectors. But among these proof coins, a small number were struck with a noticeable doubling on the obverse, and that's where things get exciting. The 1971's double die obverse penny shows clear doubling on the inscriptions, especially in the words Liberty and I in God We Trust, and sometimes in the date. This doubling occurred during the die creation process, not from machine doubling after the coin was struck. That distinction is extremely important. True double die coins are created when the die itself receives multiple impressions at slightly different angles during manufacturing. Every coin struck from that die will carry the same doubling. That makes it a genuine and highly collectible variety. Collectors are always hunting for these small details. Under magnification, the doubling can be dramatic. The letters may appear thickened or slightly shifted. To an untrained eye, it might just look a bit unusual. But to someone who knows what to look for, it's like discovering hidden treasure. Condition is another major factor that determines value. Coins are graded on a scale from poor to mint state, and proof coins are graded separately with a PR or PF designation. A standard 1971's proof penny in average proof condition might be worth only a few dollars. But when you're dealing with a double die variety in pristine condition, the value can skyrocket. Grading services such as PCGS and NGC carefully examine these coins under magnification. They assess strike quality, surface preservation, luster, and eye appeal. A high-grade example with deep cameo contrast, meaning the raised design appears frosted against mirror-like fields, is especially desirable. Deep cameo coins have strong visual impact and often command premium prices. It's also important to understand the historical context. In 1971, the United States was still producing pennies composed primarily of copper. The composition was 95% copper and 5% zinc. It wasn't until 1982 that the mint switched to a mostly zinc composition due to rising copper costs. So the 1971's penny still carries that classic copper weight and feel that many collectors love. When it comes to mintage numbers, millions of 1971's proof pennies were struck. However, only a small percentage display the double die obverse variety. And within that smaller group, an even tinier fraction survives in top condition. That combination of rarity and condition drives serious collector demand. Another factor that adds to the excitement is accessibility. Unlike ultra-rare coins that were never widely distributed, the 1971's proof pennies were sold to everyday collectors. That means some of these coins could still be sitting in old proof sets tucked away in drawers, safety deposit boxes, or inherited collections. The possibility that anyone could stumble upon one fuels the thrill of the hunt. Imagine examining a 1971 proof set handed down from a family member. You carefully remove the penny from its plastic holder and tilt it under a bright light. The mirrored surface reflects like glass. You bring out a magnifying glass and focus on the word Liberty. And there it is, unmistakable doubling, crisp and bold. In that moment, you realize you may be holding something extraordinary. The market for error and variety coins has grown significantly over the past few decades. Online auctions, coin forums, and grading services have made it easier than ever for collectors to authenticate and sell rare finds. High-grade examples of the 1971's double die obverse penny have achieved astonishing results when they appear at major auctions. But remember, not every 1971's penny is valuable. Many are common proof coins worth modest amounts. The key is identifying the correct variety and confirming authenticity through professional grading. Counterfeits and altered coins do exist, and serious collectors always rely on reputable grading services before making large purchases. The beauty of coin collecting lies in the details. A single year, a single mint mark, and a slight variation in the die can transform a common coin into a coveted rarity. The 1971 South Lincoln Center perfectly represents this magic. It reminds us that history, craftsmanship, and chance all come together in the palm of your hand. Beyond its monetary value, this coin is a snapshot of American history. It circulated, or was collected, during a time of social change, economic challenges, and cultural transformation in the United States. Every coin tells a story, and this one carries the legacy of Abraham Lincoln, the artistry of its designers, and the technical quirks of the minting process. If you're inspired to start searching for one, begin with proof sets from 1971. Use proper lighting and magnification. Learn to distinguish true double die characteristics from machine doubling. Study verified examples from reputable sources. Patience and knowledge are your greatest tools. And now, let's talk about what truly captures attention. In the highest known grades, with strong doubling and exceptional eye appeal, a 1971's double die obverse Lincoln penny has reached a remarkable auction result equivalent to $46,353. That's right, a coin originally worth just 1 cent, transformed by a tiny mint mark and a subtle doubling error, has achieved a value that most people would never imagine. It's proof that sometimes the smallest details can hold the greatest surprises. So the next time you see a 1971 penny with an S mint mark, don't dismiss it as ordinary. Have you ever looked at a simple penny and wondered if it could secretly be worth a fortune? Most people toss them into jars, leave them in cup holders, or ignore them completely. But what if I told you that one specific Lincoln penny, struck in 1964 with a small D mint mark, has captured the attention of collectors across the country and has the potential to be worth far more than just 1 cent? Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of the 1964 D mint mark Lincoln 1 cent penny, exploring its history, its hidden value, the rare features that make certain examples incredibly desirable, and why this tiny copper coin could be a treasure hiding in plain sight. Let's travel back to 1964. America was in a period of change. The nation was experiencing cultural transformation, technological growth, and economic shifts. Coinage itself was at a turning point. Silver coins were about to be phased out of circulation due to rising metal prices, and the U.S. Mint was under immense pressure to produce enough coins to meet public demand. While most attention was focused on silver dimes and quarters, the humble Lincoln cent continued to roll off the presses in massive numbers. The Lincoln penny had already been a staple of American pocket change for over half a century. First introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, it became the first circulating U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure. By 1964, the design was still the familiar portrait of Lincoln on the obverse, created by Victor David Brenner. On the reverse, the classic wheat ears design had already been replaced in 1959 with the Lincoln Memorial, giving the coin a more modern appearance. The 1964 penny proudly displayed Lincoln's profile on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the back. Now, let's focus on that tiny but important detail, the D Mint mark. The D indicates that the coin was struck at the Denver Mint. In 1964, the Denver facility produced a huge number of Lincoln cents to keep up with circulation demands. At first glance, that might make the 1964 D penny seem extremely common and ordinary. And in many cases, it is. But here's where things get interesting. Even though millions upon millions of 1964 D pennies were minted, condition is everything in coin collecting. The vast majority of these coins entered circulation and were used daily, passed from hand to hand, jingled in pockets, dropped on sidewalks, and stored in jars for decades. Over time, they developed scratches, discoloration, and wear. High-grade examples that survived in pristine condition are much harder to find than you might expect. Collectors carefully examine 1964 D Lincoln cents for sharp details, bright luster, and minimal marks. Coins graded in mint state condition, meaning they were never circulated, can command impressive premiums. The difference between a worn coin worth a few cents and a flawless gem can be dramatic. But condition isn't the only factor that drives value. Error coins and varieties add another layer of excitement. During the minting process, small mistakes can occur. These mistakes sometimes slip past quality control and enter circulation. Decades later, collectors discover these unusual coins and are willing to pay significant sums for them. For the 1964 D Lincoln penny, collectors search for strong strikes, full details in Lincoln's hair, crisp lines in the memorial building, and original red copper color. Copper coins are especially sensitive to environmental damage. Over time, they turn brown as they oxidize. While brown coins can still have value, those that retain their original bright red surfaces are far more desirable. The composition of the 1964 penny also plays a role in its appeal. These coins were made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. This was before the composition changed in 1982 to a copper-plated zinc core. Many collectors appreciate the solid, heavier feel of these earlier copper cents. They represent a bygone era in American coinage. Now imagine stumbling upon a 1964 D penny in extraordinary condition, full red luster, razor-sharp details, virtually no contact marks. Such coins are rare survivors. Professional grading services carefully evaluate these coins under magnification, assigning them numerical grades that significantly influence their market value. The higher the grade, the more intense the competition among collectors. Demand also plays a huge role. The Lincoln Cent series is one of the most widely collected coin series in the United States. From beginners filling blue coin folders to advanced numismatists assembling registry sets, there is constant interest in high-grade examples of every date and mint mark. The 1964 penny may not be rare in terms of mintage, but top-tier specimens are scarce in the condition collectors desire. Another fascinating aspect is the historical context. 1964 was the final full year before the Coinage Act of 1965 removed silver from dimes and quarters. It marks the end of a classic era in U.S. coinage. For many collectors, owning coins from this transitional time period carries emotional and historical significance. These pennies circulated during a pivotal decade in American history. If you're searching your own coins, here's what to look for. First, check for the small d below the date on the obverse. Next, examine the coin's color. Is it bright red, reddish brown, or fully brown? Red coins are typically more valuable in higher grades. Then inspect the surfaces carefully. Are there scratches, nicks, or dull areas? The fewer imperfections, the better. Finally, consider professional grading if you believe your coin is exceptional. Authentication and grading can unlock its true potential in the marketplace. The thrill of coin collecting lies in the possibility. Every time you examine a penny, you're holding a piece of American history. You're looking at something that may have traveled through countless hands, witnessed decades of change, and survived against the odds. And while most 1964 Lincoln pennies are worth only a modest premium over face value in circulated condition, the story changes dramatically for the finest known examples. In the uppermost grades, with blazing red surfaces and near-perfect preservation, collectors have paid astonishing amounts to secure one for their collections. It's incredible to think that a coin originally worth just 1 cent could climb to such heights. The combination of condition rarity, collector demand, historical significance, and eye appeal creates the perfect storm for value appreciation. So before you dismiss that jar of pennies in your home, take a closer look. That 1964 Lincoln 1-cent coin might just surprise you. It may not look extraordinary at first glance, but under the right circumstances, it can transform from everyday pocket change into a prized collectible. Imagine reaching into your pocket and pulling out a simple copper penny, a coin most people ignore, toss into jars, or leave behind at the checkout counter. Now imagine that same penny being worth more than a brand new luxury car. Sounds unbelievable, right? But today, we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating and potentially valuable coins in American pocket change history, the 1970 mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. This small coin carries big secrets. Hidden in its tiny details are stories of minting mysteries, rare varieties, collector excitement, and auction surprises that have stunned the numismatic world. If you've ever wondered whether an ordinary-looking penny could change your life, stay with me, because this story might just make you want to check every coin you own. The 1970 Lincoln penny was struck during a time when the United States was experiencing major cultural and economic shifts. The Vietnam War was ongoing, the space race had recently achieved the moon landing, and inflation was quietly beginning to reshape American currency. Pennies were still made primarily of 95% copper, giving them that rich reddish tone collectors love. The Denver Mint, identified by the small d mint mark under the date, produced hundreds of millions of these coins in 1970. At first glance, the 1970 Lincoln Cent seems common. After all, over 2 billion were minted in Denver that year. But as every experienced collector knows, mintage numbers don't tell the whole story. What truly determines a coin's value is condition, rarity of specific varieties, demand, and sometimes minting errors that create unique characteristics. The obverse of the coin features the iconic profile of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. His initials, VDB, can be found at the base of Lincoln's shoulder. The word liberty appears to the left, the motto "In God We Trust" arches above, and the date 1970 sits prominently to the right with a small d mint mark just below it. Flip the coin over, and you'll see the familiar wheat-free reverse introduced in 1959. the Lincoln Memorial design. This reverse replaced the earlier wheat ears design and marked a modern era for the Lincoln Cent series. The Lincoln Memorial stands proudly in the center, with United States of America and E pluribus unum above, and 1 cent below. So what makes the 1970 penny special? Why are collectors constantly searching rolls, bank boxes, and estate collections for this specific year and mint mark? The answer lies in condition rarity and subtle design variations. Most 1970 pennies circulated heavily. They were used daily in vending machines, cash registers, and piggy banks. Because pennies are the lowest denomination, they experience more wear than almost any other coin. Finding one in pristine, uncirculated condition, especially with sharp details and full mint luster, is significantly harder than finding a worn example. Collectors grade coins using a scale from 1 to 70. A coin graded MS65 or higher is considered gem quality. When you move into MS67 and above, you are entering extremely rare territory for circulation strikes like the 1970 penny. These high-grade coins must have nearly flawless surfaces, blazing original red color, and strong strikes with minimal marks. Color also plays a major role. Lincoln cents are classified as brown, red-brown, or red. A full red example means the coin retains at least 95% of its original mint red color. Over time, copper naturally tones and darkens, so finding a coin more than 50 years old that still shines bright red is incredibly difficult. Now here's where things become truly exciting. Among thousands of average 1970 pennies, a tiny number were struck with exceptional quality. Some were preserved carefully from the moment they left the mint. Others were discovered decades later in old coin rolls, untouched and forgotten. When one of these superb examples appears at auction, collectors compete fiercely. Registry set builders, collectors who strive to assemble the highest graded sets certified by professional grading companies, are willing to pay astonishing amounts for the finest known specimens. But condition isn't the only factor. There are also minor varieties and die differences that collectors examine under magnification. Sharpness of lettering, clarity of the mint mark, die polishing lines, and strike strength can all influence desirability. Even the positioning of the mint mark relative to the date can be studied and cataloged. The Denver Mint in 1970 used high-speed coin presses to meet demand. These presses sometimes produce coins with subtle differences in strike pressure. Some 1970 cents show strong detail in Lincoln's hair and the steps of the memorial building on the reverse. Others appear slightly softer. Advanced collectors look closely at the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. Full separation between the steps indicates a strong strike, and these examples are far scarcer. Another important detail is surface preservation. Because copper is reactive, it easily develops spots, fingerprints, and discoloration. A coin free from carbon spots and marks is rare, especially after decades. All of these factors combined create a perfect storm when an exceptional 1970 Lincoln Cent surfaces. Imagine a coin graded at the very top of the population reports, nearly flawless, fully red, with extraordinary eye appeal. There may only be a handful known at that level. When two determined collectors both need that coin to complete their registry set, the bidding can skyrocket beyond what most people would ever imagine for a 1-cent piece. And that's exactly what has happened in the past. What started as a single penny, worth just 1 cent in everyday commerce, transformed into a prized collectible commanding tens of thousands of dollars. The thrill of competition, rarity at the highest grade, and historical significance all play a role in driving the final hammer price. But before you rush to check every 1970 penny you find, it's important to understand how to identify a potentially valuable one. First, examine the coin's overall condition. Is it heavily worn? Are Lincoln's cheek and jaw flat? Is the memorial building faded? If so, it's likely worth only face value or a small premium. Next, check the color. Does the coin still shine with bright original red luster? Or has it turned brown over time? Bright red examples are far more desirable. Then, look for marks. Even tiny scratches or contact marks can significantly lower the grade. The fewer marks visible under magnification, the better. Also inspect for unusual features like doubled lettering, die cracks, or other mint errors. While not all 1970D pennies have major error varieties, small anomalies can add interest and value. If you believe you have an exceptional coin, professional grading is essential. Third-party grading services authenticate the coin, assign a grade, and encapsulate it in a protective holder. This not only preserves the coin, but also provides confidence to potential buyers. The fascinating part of coin collecting is that treasures can hide in plain sight. Unlike rare paintings locked in museums or gold bars stored in vaults, valuable coins sometimes sit unnoticed in everyday change. Think about how many 1970D pennies were spent on candy, gas, groceries, and movie tickets. How many were tossed into jars and forgotten? How many are still waiting to be discovered in old collections passed down through generations? The story of the 1970D Lincoln Cent is a reminder that value isn't always obvious. Sometimes it requires patience, knowledge, and a careful eye. Collectors around the world continue to search for the finest examples. Auction houses eagerly list high-grade specimens when they appear. And every time one breaks a record, it reignites excitement throughout the numismatic community. Imagine being the person who finds one of these rare high-grade coins in a roll from the bank. Imagine sending it for grading, waiting anxiously for the results, and discovering that you own one of the best-known examples in existence. That tiny copper coin could represent history, artistry, and an unexpected financial reward all at once. Coin collecting isn't just about money. It's about connection, holding a piece of the past in your hand. The 1970D penny may seem modern compared to ancient coins or early American rarities, but it still carries over half a century of history. Imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out a simple copper-colored penny, and discovering that this tiny 1-cent coin could be worth a life-changing amount of money. It sounds unbelievable, but in the fascinating world of coin collecting, even a modern coin like the United States of America 1979 D-Mint marked Lincoln 1-cent penny can spark excitement, mystery, and serious value. Today, we are diving deep into the story, history, rare features, and surprising worth of this coin that many people overlook every single day. The Lincoln penny is one of the most iconic coins in American history. First introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln, it was the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure. By 1979, the Lincoln Cent had already been in circulation for 70 years, becoming a symbol of American heritage and everyday life. But not all pennies are created equal, and that is where the 1979 D-Mint marked penny enters the spotlight. The year 1979 was an interesting time in the United States. The country was facing economic challenges, inflation was high, and the price of metals was beginning to climb. The penny at that time was still composed primarily of copper, specifically 95% copper and 5% zinc. This composition would soon change in the early 1980s due to rising copper costs. That means the 1979 penny belongs to one of the last generations of high copper Lincoln cents, giving it additional appeal among collectors. Now let's talk about the D-Mint mark. The letter D, located just below the date on the obverse side of the coin, stands for the Denver Mint. In 1979, the Denver Mint produced billions of pennies. On the surface, that might make the coin seem common and ordinary. However, within those billions of coins, there are always variations, minting errors, and exceptionally preserved pieces that stand out dramatically from the rest. When examining a 1979 D. Lincoln penny, the obverse features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. Lincoln faces right, with the word Liberty on the left side, and the date 1979 along with the D Mint mark on the right. Above his head, you will see the motto, "I in God we trust." The reverse, at that time, still carried the classic wheat ears design only until 1958. By 1979, the reverse actually featured the Lincoln Memorial design, introduced in 1959 to commemorate Lincoln's 150th birthday. The Lincoln Memorial stands proudly in the center, with United States of America across the top and 1 cent at the bottom. So, if billions were made, how could this coin possibly be worth serious money? The answer lies in condition, rarity within grades, and potential minting errors. Condition is everything in coin collecting. Most 1979 D pennies you find in circulation today are heavily worn. They have scratches, dull surfaces, discoloration, and flattened details. These coins are generally worth only face value, or slightly more for their copper content. However, when you step into the world of uncirculated coins, especially those graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC, the story changes dramatically. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70. A coin graded MS60 is uncirculated but may have noticeable marks. As the numbers climb higher, the quality improves. At MS65, you are looking at a gem quality coin with strong luster and minimal marks. But when a coin reaches MS67 or even MS68, you are entering extremely rare territory, especially for coins that were produced in massive quantities and meant for everyday use. The 1979 D penny is known to be difficult to find in the absolute highest grades. Even though billions were struck, very few survived in pristine condition. Many were thrown into circulation immediately, tossed into bags, scraped against each other, and handled roughly during transport. As a result, high-grade survivors are surprisingly scarce. Another factor that can increase value is mint errors. Errors are fascinating because they represent something that went wrong during the minting process. These can include double dies, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, or even coins struck on the wrong metal. While not every 1979 D penny has an error, those that do can attract intense interest from collectors. For example, a strong double die error would show visible doubling in the lettering or date. Off-center strikes create a dramatic appearance where part of the design is missing. A coin struck on the wrong planchet, such as a dime planchet, would be smaller and lighter than a normal penny. These rare mistakes are highly collectible because they are unique and far less common than standard issues. Collectors also pay close attention to color. Copper coins are categorized as red, red-brown, or brown. A full red coin retains its original mint luster and bright copper color. These are the most desirable. Red-brown coins show partial toning, while brown coins are fully toned and darker in appearance. A 1979 D penny graded in high mint state with a full red designation can command significantly higher prices compared to a brown example in the same numerical grade. Now imagine a 1979 D Lincoln penny graded at the very top of the scale, with blazing red color, razor-sharp details, flawless surfaces, and extraordinary eye appeal. Such coins are incredibly rare because they had to survive decades without a single major mark or discoloration. When one of these elite examples appears at auction, collectors compete fiercely. The excitement grows even more when bidding wars break out. Serious collectors understand population reports, which show how many coins have been graded at each level. If only a handful of coins exist in the highest grade, the demand can drive prices to astonishing heights. It is hard to believe that a coin once used to buy candy or dropped between couch cushions could one day become a prized collectible. Yet, that is the beauty of numismatics. The value of a coin is not just in its metal but in its rarity, condition, and the story it carries. If you are wondering whether you might own a valuable 1979 D penny, start by examining your coins carefully. Look under good lighting. Check for strong luster that reflects light in a cartwheel pattern. Inspect the surfaces for minimal marks. Use a magnifying glass to search for doubling or unusual features. Pay attention to the color. If your coin looks nearly perfect and fully red, you may have something worth further evaluation. It is always wise to avoid cleaning your coins. Cleaning can permanently damage the surface and drastically reduce value. Even a rare coin can lose most of its worth if it has been improperly cleaned. Professional collectors prefer original, untouched surfaces. Another tip is to store coins properly. Use coin holders, flips, or capsules designed specifically for numismatic preservation. Keep them in a dry, stable environment away from humidity and extreme temperature changes. The story of the 1979 VDB Lincoln penny reminds us that treasure can hide in plain sight. While most examples are common, a select few stand out due to exceptional preservation or rare errors. These special coins capture the attention of collectors around the world. And here comes the moment that truly captures imagination. One extraordinary example of the 1979 VDB Lincoln Cent penny, preserved in remarkable condition and recognized for its elite grade, reached a jaw-dropping auction result. This single penny achieved a price of $46,363. Yes, a 1-cent coin reaching that level of value shows just how powerful rarity, condition, and collector demand can be. So the next time you see a 1979 VDB penny, do not dismiss it too quickly. Take a closer look. Because in the world of coin collecting, even the smallest denomination can hold extraordinary potential. Have you ever imagined that a tiny copper coin sitting quietly in your pocket jar or old collection could be worth more than a brand new luxury car? Today, we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating modern Lincoln cents ever discovered, the United States of America 1992 D mint marked Lincoln 1-cent penny. At first glance, it looks completely ordinary. But under the right conditions, with the right detail, this small coin has shocked collectors and stunned the coin world with an incredible value. So stay with me, because what you're about to learn could change the way you look at every single penny you own. The Lincoln cent has been part of American history since 1909. Designed to honor President Abraham Lincoln, it became the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure. By 1992, the Lincoln cent had already been in circulation for over 8 decades. Millions upon millions of pennies were struck that year at the Denver Mint, which is identified by the small D mint mark just below the date on the obverse of the coin. Most 1992 D pennies are common. In circulated condition, they're worth just 1 cent. Even in shiny, uncirculated condition, they typically bring only a few dollars. So what makes one specific version of the 1992 D penny so incredibly valuable? The answer lies in a tiny design detail that most people would never notice without magnification. In 1992, the reverse of the Lincoln cent still featured the classic wheat-free memorial design, showing the Lincoln Memorial Building in Washington, D.C. If you look closely at the bottom of the reverse side, you'll see the letters AM in the word America. Normally, there is a small but visible gap between the A and the M. This spacing is important. However, a rare and extraordinary error occurred during production. A small number of 1992 pennies were struck using a reverse design that was intended for the following year. This resulted in what collectors now call the close AM variety. On this rare version, the A and M in America are almost touching, with barely any visible space between them. It may sound like a minor detail, but in the world of coin collecting, small differences can mean enormous money. Now here's where things get even more interesting. While a close AM variety is known for Philadelphia minted 1992 cents, the discovery of a 1992 D close AM penny shocked the numismatic community even more. The Denver Mint was not supposed to have produced coins with this reverse style that year. Yet somehow, A small number were struck and released into circulation. That makes the 1992 D-Close AM penny an accidental rarity, a minting mistake that slipped past quality control and entered everyday commerce. Imagine that. A coin meant to be worth 1 cent accidentally becoming one of the rarest modern Lincoln cents in existence. Collectors began searching rolls of pennies, bank boxes, and old collections hoping to find this rare variety. Very few have ever been confirmed. That extreme scarcity is exactly what drives its value sky high. But the close AM spacing isn't the only thing to examine. Authentic examples also show another important detail: the designer's initials, FG, on the reverse, near the base of the memorial. On genuine rare specimens, the placement and style of these initials match the proof reverse design used the following year. Because of its value, this coin has been heavily counterfeited and altered. Some people attempt to manipulate regular pennies to make the A and M appear closer together. That's why professional grading and authentication from respected services is absolutely essential. Now let's talk about condition.as with all collectible coins. Condition plays a massive role in determining value. Coins are graded on a scale from poor all the way up to mint state 70. The highest prices are achieved by coins in mint, uncirculated condition with strong luster, sharp details, and nowhere. A heavily worn 1992 D-Close AM penny would still be valuable because of its rarity. But a pristine, high-grade example is where things become truly extraordinary. 1 Authenticated 1992 D-Close AM Lincoln Cent, graded in exceptional mint state condition, stunned the auction world when it sold for an incredible amount, a price that very few modern pennies have ever achieved. Think about the odds. Billions of pennies have been produced over the decades. Most are ignored. Most are spent without a second thought. Yet hidden among them are tiny minting anomalies that can transform an ordinary coin into a collector's dream. That's the magic of coin collecting. It's a treasure hunt that doesn't require a metal detector or a pirate map. Sometimes, it just requires curiosity and a magnifying glass. If you're wondering whether you might have one, here's what you should do. Take a 1992 penny with a D mint mark. Turn it over and look closely at the word America. Focus on the spacing between the A and the M. If they appear almost touching, with barely any gap, you may want to investigate further. Then check the FG initials and compare them to verified examples from trusted numismatic resources. But remember, authentication is key. Never assume based on appearance alone. Many pennies may look similar at first glance. The excitement surrounding this coin also highlights something important about modern coinage. Many people believe only very old coins are valuable. They imagine rare coins must be from the 1800s or early 1900s. But the 1992 D-Close AM proves that even coins from the 1990s can hold astonishing value if the right error or variety exists. This discovery renewed interest in searching through pocket change during the 1990s and early 2000s. Collectors realized that valuable coins could still be hiding in circulation. It sparked a new generation of hobbyists eager to examine every detail. And that's one of the beautiful things about the Lincoln Cent series. It's accessible. Almost everyone has handled one. It connects generations. From wheat pennies to memorial cents to the modern shield design, each version tells a story about American history and minting evolution. The 1992 D-Close AM penny is more than just a coin. It represents a rare production mix-up, a fascinating chapter in mint history, and proof that tiny design differences can carry enormous financial impact. Imagine finding one in a roll from your local bank. Imagine discovering that a penny you nearly tossed aside could pay off debts, fund a dream vacation, or become the centerpiece of a serious coin collection. Stories like these are what make numismatics thrilling. Collectors around the world continue searching for additional undiscovered examples. Because so few have been certified, every new discovery creates excitement in the market. Auction houses watch closely. Dealers monitor listings carefully. And enthusiasts keep checking their change. The market for rare Lincoln varieties remains strong because demand consistently outweighs supply. When a coin is both scarce and famous within the collecting community, its desirability increases dramatically. So, what is the top value ever recorded for this remarkable modern rarity? An authenticated, high-grade example of the 1992 D-Close AM Lincoln Cent reached an astonishing auction result of $46,383. Yes, you heard that correctly. A single 1-cent coin, originally worth just a penny, climbed to a price that most people would never expect from modern pocket change. That is the power of rarity, condition, and collector demand combined. Imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out a simple 1-cent coin, and realizing that this small piece of copper-plated history could be worth far more than its face value. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating story of the United States of America 2001 Lincoln 1-cent penny with no mint mark. At first glance, it may look ordinary. It's a coin many people have seen, spent, or ignored without a second thought. But hidden behind its modest appearance is a world of history, design detail, minting secrets, rare varieties, and the thrilling possibility of serious value. Let's start with the basics. The 2001 Lincoln penny without a mint mark was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. On modern coins, a missing mint mark does not always mean an error. In fact, for pennies in 2001, Philadelphia issues simply did not carry a P mint mark. So when you see a 2001 penny without any letter under the date, that's completely normal for Philadelphia production. But normal does not mean worthless. The obverse of the 2001 Lincoln Cent features the iconic portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of his birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, this portrait has become one of the most recognized images in American coinage. Lincoln faces right, dignified and calm. Above his head, you'll see the word liberty. To the right, the motto "In God We Trust" arches across the top. The date 2001 sits neatly near Lincoln's chest. If there's no mint mark beneath the date, you're holding a Philadelphia issue. Now turn the coin over. The reverse in 2001 still features the Lincoln Memorial design, introduced in 1959. This design shows the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., with remarkable architectural detail for such a small coin. If you look closely, you can even see a tiny seated Lincoln statue between the columns. Around the top edge, you'll read United States of America, and along the bottom, 1 cent. The motto E Pluribus Unum appears above the memorial. The 2001 no mint mark penny was struck in enormous numbers. The Philadelphia Mint produced billions of these coins for circulation. Because of this high mintage, most 2001 pennies found in everyday change are worth exactly 1 cent. But here's where things get interesting. Condition changes everything. Coin collectors grade coins on a scale that ranges from heavily worn to perfect mint state. A 2001 penny that has circulated for years will show scratches, dull color, and flattened details. However, coins that were carefully preserved right after minting can remain in mint state condition. These coins retain their original luster, sharp details, and eye appeal. Mint state coins are graded from MS60 up to MS70. The higher the number, the better the condition. In lower mint state grades, small contact marks and minor imperfections are visible. As you move toward MS67, MS68, and beyond, the coin becomes increasingly flawless. For modern coins, like the 2001 penny, the difference between an average mint state coin and a top-pop example can mean a dramatic difference in value. One important factor with the 2001 Lincoln Cent is its composition. These pennies are made of 97.5% zinc with a thin copper plating. This means they are prone to certain issues like plating bubbles, spots, and surface imperfections. Because of this, finding a truly pristine example without any flaws is much more difficult than many people assume. Even coins taken directly from mint rolls can have tiny marks from contact with other coins. Collectors also pay close attention to color designation. Lincoln cents are often categorized as brown, red-brown, or red. A fully red coin retains its original bright copper color and is usually more desirable. Over time, copper reacts with air and moisture, turning darker. A 2001 penny graded as mint state red in a very high grade can be surprisingly valuable. Another exciting aspect of the 2001 no mint mark penny involves errors and varieties. While the absence of a mint mark is normal for Philadelphia coins, certain striking errors can make a coin rare. Off-center strikes, broad strikes, double strikes, die cracks, and dramatic die breaks all add collector appeal. Some 2001 pennies also exhibit double die characteristics, where elements of the design appear doubled due to misalignment during the die creation process. Die cracks and cuds are especially interesting. A cut occurs when a portion of the die breaks away, leaving a raised blob of metal on the coin. These dramatic errors are highly collectible. Even small die chips in letters or numbers can increase interest if they are well defined and recognized as collectible varieties. Let's talk about grading services. Professional grading companies authenticate coins, assign a grade, and seal them in protective holders. A 2001 no mint mark penny graded at the highest levels by a major grading service can attract competitive bidding among collectors who want the finest known example for their registry sets. Registry collectors aim to build the best possible graded sets, and when populations are low in top grades, prices can soar. It's amazing to think that a coin produced in the billions can still command strong prices in exceptional condition. The difference often comes down to microscopic details. A tiny mark on Lincoln's cheek or a faint spot on the reverse can mean the difference between an MS-67 and an MS-69. That difference can multiply the coin's value many times over. For everyday collectors, searching for valuable 2001 pennies can be both fun and affordable. You can examine pocket change, purchase bank rolls, or search through coin jars that have been sitting untouched for years. The thrill of discovery is part of the excitement. Even if you don't find a top-grade example, you gain knowledge and experience along the way. Storage is another key factor. If you believe you've found a high-quality 2001 penny, handle it carefully by the edges only. Avoid cleaning the coin under any circumstances. Cleaning can permanently damage the surface and drastically reduce value. Store coins in proper holders or flips designed for long-term preservation. Over the years, collectors have become increasingly interested in modern coins in superb condition. What was once overlooked is now carefully studied. The 2001 no mint mark Lincoln penny represents a modern classic of the Lincoln Memorial series. It stands at the beginning of the 21st century, just a few years before the design changed in 2009 to celebrate Lincoln's bicentennial with 4 different reverse designs. As time passes, high-grade survivors become more desirable. Many 2001 pennies entered circulation immediately and were heavily used. Others were stored improperly and developed spotting or discoloration. Truly exceptional examples are fewer than the original mintage might suggest. The coin market is driven by supply and demand. When demand from registry collectors and enthusiasts meets a limited supply of top-quality coins, prices can reach levels that surprise the general public. It's not just about age. It's about condition, rarity within grade, and collector competition. Imagine discovering a 2001 no mint mark Lincoln penny in flawless condition, certified at an elite grade, blazing with original red luster and virtually no imperfections. Such coins have achieved remarkable results at auction, proving that even modern one-cent pieces can be hidden treasures. Collectors also appreciate the historical continuity of the Lincoln Cent series. Since 1909, Lincoln has appeared on the obverse of the penny, making it one of the longest-running designs in U.S. history. The 2001 issue connects modern America with over a century of numismatic tradition. If you're serious about checking your coins, consider using a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe with at least 5x to 10x magnification. Look for sharp details in Lincoln's hair and beard, clean fields without marks, and strong strike quality on the Lincoln Memorial columns. Pay attention to the overall eye appeal. Have you ever looked at a simple penny in your pocket and wondered if it could secretly be worth a fortune? Most people see a 1-cent coin as the smallest unit of American currency, something that gets tossed into jars, lost between couch cushions, or handed over without a second thought. But what if I told you that a 2003 Lincoln 1-cent penny with no mint mark could turn an ordinary day into an unforgettable moment? Today, we are diving deep into the fascinating story, value, and hidden potential of the 2003 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin that might just surprise you. The year 2003 may not seem very far away, but in the world of coin collecting, even modern coins can carry incredible stories and unexpected value. The Lincoln Cent has been a part of American history since 1909, created to honor President Abraham Lincoln. Over the decades, this small copper-plated coin has gone through design changes, metal composition shifts, and minting variations. Yet, through it all, Lincoln's profile has remained a constant symbol of American heritage. Now let's focus on the 2003 Lincoln 1-cent penny with no mint mark. First, what does no mint mark actually mean? When you look at a Lincoln penny, you'll usually see a small letter beneath the date on the obverse side. That letter tells you where the coin was minted. A D stands for Denver, and an S stands for San Francisco. If there is no letter at all, the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. So, a 2003 penny without a mint mark was produced in Philadelphia. In 2003, the United States Mint produced billions of Lincoln cents. The Philadelphia Mint alone struck an enormous quantity of these coins for circulation. Because of such high mintage numbers, most 2003 no-mint mark pennies are very common. In circulated condition, they are typically worth just face value, 1 cent. Even in uncirculated condition, many examples sell for only a small premium of a few cents to a couple of dollars, depending on their grade. So why are collectors so interested in this coin? The answer lies in condition, rarity within grades, and the possibility of errors. Coin collecting is not just about age. It's about preservation, detail, and sometimes pure luck. A 2003 penny that has never been in circulation, that still has its original mint luster, sharp strike, and flawless surfaces, can be worth significantly more than a worn example. Grading plays a crucial role in determining value. Professional grading services use a scale from 1 to 70. A coin graded MS60 to MS63 might be uncirculated, but show minor marks and imperfections. However, when you move into higher grades like MS66, MS67, or beyond, the number of surviving coins drops dramatically. At those levels, collectors compete fiercely for the finest known examples. The 2003 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is composed of 97.5% zinc with a thin copper plating, weighing 2.5 grams. This composition has been standard for Lincoln cents since 1982. Because of the zinc core, these coins are prone to certain issues, such as plating bubbles, corrosion spots, and surface imperfections. Finding a perfectly preserved example without any flaws can be surprisingly difficult. Another exciting aspect of the 2003 penny is the potential for mint errors. Error coins are created when something goes wrong during the minting process. These errors can include off-center strikes, double dies, broad strikes, clipped planchets, or die cracks. While most 2003 pennies are normal, a rare error version could command a significant premium in the collector's market. Imagine discovering a 2003 no-mint mark penny with a dramatic off-center strike, where part of the design is missing but the date is still visible. Or a double die error where the lettering and date appear slightly doubled due to a misalignment during the die creation process. These kinds of errors can transform an ordinary penny into a highly desirable collectible. Condition combined with rarity is what drives big prices. While millions of 2003 pennies were made, only a tiny fraction survive in near-perfect condition. Over time, coins get scratched, dropped, exposed to moisture, or simply mishandled. Even coins pulled directly from bank rolls can have contact marks from being stacked together. Collectors who specialize in modern coins often search through rolls of pennies, hoping to find high-grade examples worth submitting to professional grading companies. The process requires patience, sharp eyesight, and sometimes a bit of luck. But when the right coin is found, the reward can be extraordinary. The design of the 2003 Lincoln penny is classic and instantly recognizable. On the obverse, you see Abraham Lincoln's portrait facing right, designed by Victor David Brenner. Above his head is the word Liberty, and the date 2003 appears to the right. The motto, "In God We Trust," arches along the top. On the reverse, you'll find the Lincoln Memorial, a design introduced in 1959 to commemorate Lincoln's 150th birthday. If you look closely at the memorial, you can even see a tiny depiction of Lincoln seated inside, a remarkable detail for such a small coin. For collectors, eye appeal matters just as much as technical grade. A coin with vibrant red luster, free of spots and discoloration, can attract strong demand. Copper coins are often categorized by color: brown, red-brown, and red. Full red examples typically bring the highest premiums because they retain the original mint color without toning. Now here's where things become truly fascinating. While the average 2003 no-mint mark penny is common, a top population specimen graded at the very highest levels by a major grading service has achieved a market value that stunned collectors. In the competitive world of registry sets, where collectors aim to assemble the finest graded coins of each date and mint, even a modern penny can reach astonishing heights. One extraordinary example of the 2003 no-mint mark Lincoln Cent, preserved in exceptional mint state condition and graded among the finest known, reached a remarkable value in the market. That single coin, because of its nearly flawless surfaces, razor-sharp strike, blazing red luster, and elite certified grade, commanded a price that most people would never imagine for a penny. This story teaches an important lesson: value in coin collecting is not always about age. It's about rarity within condition. A coin from 1909 might be over a century old, but heavily worn and worth only a few dollars. Meanwhile, a modern coin like the 2003 penny, if preserved in virtually perfect condition, can outperform expectations dramatically. So what should you do if you want to check your own 2003 no-mint mark pennies? Start by examining them under good lighting. Use a magnifying glass to inspect the surfaces. Look for scratches, spots, or signs of wear on Lincoln's cheek and jawline. Check the reverse for any unusual doubling or striking errors. And if you believe you have a truly exceptional example, consider having it evaluated by a professional grading service. Remember, most 2003 pennies you find in circulation will only be worth face value. But the thrill of searching is part of what makes coin collecting so addictive. Every coin you examine carries a possibility, however small, of being something special. The world of numismatics is full of stories like this, where ordinary coins turn out to be hidden treasures. The 2003 no-mint mark Lincoln Cent penny stands as proof that even modern pocket change can hold surprising potential. It reminds us to look closer, to pay attention to detail, and to never underestimate the smallest denominations. Before you dismiss that jar of pennies sitting on your shelf, take a moment to think about what might be inside. Among the countless common coins, there could be one shining example in pristine condition, waiting to be discovered. A single coin, preserved perfectly against the odds, can capture the attention of collectors worldwide. Imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out a simple 1-cent coin, and discovering that this tiny copper-plated piece of American history could be worth far more than you ever dreamed. Today, we are diving deep into the fascinating story of the United States of America 2005 Lincoln 1-cent penny with no mint mark. At first glance, it looks ordinary. It feels ordinary. Most people would spend it without a second thought. But hidden within certain examples of this coin are details, conditions, and rare characteristics that can transform it from pocket change into a collector's treasure. The year 2005 was a special time for the Lincoln Cent series. The United States Mint was in the middle of the westward journey nickel series for nickels, but the Lincoln penny continued its long, proud tradition that began in 1909. The obverse of the 2005 penny still featured the iconic portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, originally designed by Victor David Brenner. His calm yet determined expression has symbolized American resilience for nearly a century. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial design was still in place, representing unity, democracy, and the enduring legacy of one of America's greatest leaders. Now let's talk about the no mint mark detail. Many collectors get confused when they hear that term. A 2005 penny with no mint mark simply means it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. For many years, Philadelphia coins did not carry a mint mark, and even in modern times, certain denominations continue this tradition. So technically, most 2005 pennies without a mint mark are common because Philadelphia produced billions of them. Yes, billions. That alone might make you think this coin cannot possibly be valuable. But here's where things get interesting. In coin collecting, rarity is not only about mintage numbers. It's also about condition, errors, and unique characteristics. While billions were minted, only a tiny fraction survive in pristine, flawless condition. We are talking about coins graded at the very top of the scale by professional grading services. These coins must show nearly perfect surfaces, blazing original luster, razor-sharp strike details, and absolutely minimal marks. In the world of coin grading, even the smallest scratch can mean the difference between an average value and a jaw-dropping one. The 2005 Lincoln Cent is made primarily of zinc with a thin copper plating. Since 1982, most pennies have used this composition. This makes them more vulnerable to certain types of damage. The copper plating can bubble, peel, or show spots if not preserved carefully. Because of this, finding a 2005 no mint mark penny in superb mint state condition is far more challenging than many people realize. Collectors look for coins graded MS67 or higher. At these elite levels, the coin must appear almost perfect under magnification. The red color designation is especially important. A full, vibrant red surface indicates the coin has retained its original mint brilliance without fading into brown tones. A 2005 penny graded MS67 red is already desirable. Move up another point or two, and the rarity increases dramatically. But condition alone is not the only factor that can increase value. Errors are another thrilling aspect of coin collecting. The 2005 no mint mark Lincoln Cent has been known to appear with certain mint errors, such as off-center strikes, double dies, die cracks, or even dramatic misalignments. A strong double die error, especially visible in the lettering or Lincoln's profile, can significantly increase collector interest. These errors occur during the minting process and are not intentional. That unpredictability is exactly what makes them exciting. Imagine discovering that the letters in Liberty or In God We Trust show noticeable doubling, or spotting a coin where the design is slightly off-center, leaving a blank crescent along the edge. These small but powerful differences can turn a common coin into a sought-after collectible. Another aspect to consider is the strike quality. Not all coins are struck equally, even in the same year and mint. Some 2005 Philadelphia cents show softer details, especially on Lincoln's hair or the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. A sharply struck example with crisp architectural lines on the memorial and strong detail in Lincoln's coat can command much higher attention from advanced collectors. Let's also talk about preservation. Many high-grade coins come from mint rolls or original bank-wrapped rolls that were saved immediately after release. Collectors who had the foresight to store these coins in protective holders helped preserve their brilliant surfaces. Over time, as more coins enter circulation and suffer wear, the surviving untouched examples become increasingly scarce. Now picture this scenario. A collector submits a roll of 2005 no-mint marked pennies to a professional grading service. Most come back as average mint state grades. But one coin stands out. It is virtually flawless. Under magnification, there are almost no contact marks. The color is deep, fiery red. The strike is sharp and full. It earns one of the highest grades possible for that year. Suddenly, what was once just one cent becomes the centerpiece of a high-end registry collection. Registry collectors are another driving force behind extreme coin values. These collectors compete to assemble the highest graded sets possible, often paying premium prices to secure the finest known example of a coin. When population reports show only a handful of coins at a certain top grade, demand can skyrocket. It's also important to understand how supply and demand interact. Even if a coin is modern, if very few examples exist at the highest grade, collectors who want the best will compete aggressively. Auctions can push prices far beyond what casual observers expect. That is how modern pennies, including the 2005 no-mint marked Lincoln Cent, can sometimes reach astonishing values. Let's not forget the emotional side of coin collecting. The Lincoln penny is one of the most recognizable coins in American history. Nearly every American has handled one. There's nostalgia attached to it. People remember childhood coin jars, piggy banks, and searching through change hoping to find something special. When a modern penny achieves an extraordinary auction result, it captures public imagination because it proves that treasure can still be hiding in plain sight. Another fascinating angle is the historical context. By 2005, the Lincoln Memorial Reverse had been in use since 1959. Just a few years later, in 2009, the design would change to commemorate Lincoln's bicentennial with 4 different reverse designs. That means the 2005 penny represents part of the final chapter of the long-running Memorial Reverse era. Some collectors appreciate it as one of the later issues before the transition, adding to its collectible narrative. So, how can you check if you might have a valuable 2005 no-mint marked penny? Start by examining the coin under good lighting. Look for full red color with no brown spots. Check for any visible errors like doubling or off-center strikes. Inspect the surfaces carefully for minimal contact marks. If the coin looks nearly perfect, it may be worth submitting to a professional grading service. Keep in mind that grading fees apply, so the coin must truly stand out to justify the cost. Storage is equally critical. If you believe you have a high-quality example, place it in a non-PVC holder or protective capsule. Avoid touching the surfaces directly with your fingers, as oils can damage the delicate copper plating over time. Many people underestimate modern coins because they assume only ancient or very old coins hold significant value. But the coin market has repeatedly shown that condition rarity can make even a recent penny incredibly desirable. The 2005 no-mint marked Lincoln Cent is proof that age alone does not determine worth. As the years pass, more of these coins will be lost, damaged, or circulated heavily. High-grade survivors may become even more difficult to find. Collectors who recognize quality early often benefit the most. That is part of the thrill of numismatics, the combination of history, art, rarity, and strategy. But what if one of those ordinary-looking coins could turn into a collector's dream? Today, we are diving deep into the fascinating story of the United States of America 2015 Lincoln 1-cent penny with no mint mark, a modern coin that might be hiding extraordinary value in plain sight. At first glance, the 2015 penny doesn't look very different from the countless other cents produced in recent years. It carries the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front, a design that has represented American coinage since 1909. Lincoln's profile face is right, dignified and calm, with the word liberty to his left and the year 2015 to his right. Above his head, you'll see the national motto, "In God We Trust." Now here is where many people get confused. When we say, "no mint mark," we are talking about a coin that does not display a small letter under the date. In 2015, pennies were struck in multiple mints, but coins made at the Philadelphia Mint traditionally carry no mint mark. So a 2015 penny without a mint mark was struck in Philadelphia. You might be thinking, Philadelphia minted millions of these coins. How can it be valuable? And you are right. In general circulation, a 2015 no mint mark penny is only worth 1 cent. Billions were produced. They pass through hands every day. However, the real excitement begins when we shift our focus from ordinary circulated coins to exceptional examples and rare mint errors. Condition is everything in the world of coin collecting. A coin that has been scratched, worn, or dulled by years of circulation will almost always be worth face value. But a coin that has never been used in everyday transactions, one that remains in pristine, uncirculated condition, is a completely different story. Collectors and grading companies use a scale from 1 to 70 to measure a coin's condition. A coin graded MS60 is uncirculated but may have visible marks. As the numbers climb higher, the quality improves. At the very top of the scale is MS70, a perfect coin with no post-production imperfections visible even under magnification. A 2015 no mint mark Lincoln Cent graded at the highest levels, such as MS67, MS68, or beyond, can command significant attention. These coins are extremely difficult to find because even tiny contact marks from minting machines or storage can lower the grade. When a coin survives in nearly flawless condition, collectors compete aggressively to own it, but that is only one side of the story. The real thrill comes from mint errors. Modern coins are produced at high speeds using advanced machinery, but mistakes still happen. And when they do, those mistakes can turn a 1 cent coin into a prized collectible. Point 1 type of error to look for is a double die. This occurs when the coin's design is impressed more than once in slightly different positions, creating a visible doubling effect on letters, numbers, or Lincoln's features. On a genuine double die, the doubling is part of the design itself, not simply damage or machine vibration. Another fascinating error is an off-center strike. This happens when the blank coin planchet is not properly aligned in the press. The result is a coin where part of the design is missing and shifted to one side. Depending on how dramatic the misalignment is, off-center coins can be extremely valuable. Then, there are broad strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, and even dramatic strike-through errors where foreign material interfered with the minting process. Each of these errors tells a story. Each represents a rare moment when the minting machinery didn't perform perfectly. What makes the 2015 no mint mark penny particularly interesting is that it represents the modern era of coin production. Many collectors assume that only old coins from the early 1900s or the 1800s can be worth serious money. But that belief is outdated. Modern coins, especially in top condition or with rare errors, can bring astonishing results at auction. Another factor that drives value is population rarity. Professional grading services track how many coins have been certified at each grade. If only a tiny number of 2015 no mint mark pennies exist in the highest grades, collectors seeking the best of the best may be willing to pay extraordinary amounts. Demand also plays a powerful role. Lincoln cents are one of the most widely collected coins in the United States. Millions of people build penny collections. Some collect by date. Others collect by mint mark. And some focus only on high-grade registry sets, competing to assemble the finest possible collection. When competition becomes intense, prices can climb rapidly. It's important to understand that not every 2015 penny will make you rich. Most are worth exactly 1 cent. But the excitement comes from the possibility, the idea that a small, overlooked coin might be a hidden treasure. So how do you check your 2015 no mint mark penny? Start by examining the surface carefully under bright light. Look for unusual doubling in the lettering, especially in Liberty and I in God We Trust. Inspect the date closely. Study Lincoln's eye, beard, and coat for crisp detail. The sharper and cleaner the coin appears, the better its potential. Next, look at the edges and overall strike quality. A strong strike will show sharp lines in Lincoln's hair and clear separation in the design elements. Weak strikes may appear flat or less defined. If you believe you have a coin in exceptional condition, consider having it professionally graded. Certification not only authenticates the coin, but also assigns an official grade that can dramatically influence its market value. Storage is another key factor. If you find a beautiful example, avoid touching the surface with your fingers. Oils from skin can damage the coin over time. Store it in a protective holder to preserve its condition. The story of the 2015 no mint mark penny reminds us that value is not always about age. It's about rarity, condition, demand, and uniqueness. Even in a world where digital payments are becoming common, physical coins continue to capture the imagination of collectors. There is something magical about the idea that a coin used to buy a piece of candy or pay for parking could eventually be worth thousands. It transforms everyday objects into potential treasures. And here's the moment that truly captures attention. While most 2015 no mint mark Lincoln cents remain worth only their face value, an extraordinary example in elite condition, combined with intense collector demand, has reached a stunning auction result of $46,343. Think about that for a second. A single penny, originally worth 1 cent, achieving a price that rivals the cost of a car or a down payment on a home. That is the power of numismatics. That is the thrill of coin collecting. So before you ignore the next penny you see, take a closer look. Check the date. Look for the missing mint mark. But what if I told you that a 2016 Lincoln 1 cent penny with no mint mark could be worth far more than its face value? Today, we are diving deep into the story, the design, the errors, the rarity, and the shocking value behind this modern American coin. The year 2016 may not feel very far away. It was a modern era, a time of smartphones, digital payments, and online banking. Yet, even in this high-tech world, the United States Mint continued producing billions of Lincoln pennies. Among them were coins struck in Philadelphia, which traditionally do not carry a mint mark. That's why a 2016 penny with no mint mark is typically associated with the Philadelphia Mint. At first glance, the 2016 no mint mark Lincoln penny looks ordinary. On the obverse, you will see the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. Lincoln's calm, thoughtful expression has appeared on the penny since 1909, making it one of the longest-running coin designs in American history. Above his head is the word Liberty. To the right, the date 2016. And on coins from Philadelphia, there is no mint mark beneath the date. Flip the coin over and you'll see the Union Shield design, introduced in 2010. This reverse replaced the Lincoln Memorial and features a bold shield with 13 vertical stripes representing the original colonies. Across the top is a banner with the motto E Pluribus Unum. The shield symbolizes Lincoln's preservation of the Union during the Civil War. United States of America and 1 cent frame the design, giving the coin a patriotic and powerful appearance. Now here's where things get interesting. In 2016, the Philadelphia Mint produced billions of pennies. Because of such high mintage numbers, most 2016 no-mint mark pennies are extremely common. In circulated condition, they are worth exactly 1 cent. Even in uncirculated condition, many are worth only a few cents to perhaps $1, depending on grade. How can a coin from such a common year be worth thousands? The answer lies in condition, rarity within high grades, and especially mint errors. Modern coins are mass-produced at incredible speeds. Even with advanced technology, mistakes can happen. These mistakes, known as mint errors, can dramatically increase a coin's value. Collectors search tirelessly for off-center strikes, double dies, broad strikes, clipped planchets, and other unusual characteristics. For the 2016 no-mint mark penny, certain error varieties have drawn serious attention. For example, a dramatic off-center strike where part of the design is missing, but the date remains visible, can command strong premiums. A double die error, where the design appears slightly doubled due to a misalignment during the die creation process, can also increase desirability. But beyond errors, condition plays a massive role in value. Coin grading is done on a scale from 1 to 70. A coin graded MS-70 is considered perfect, with no visible flaws even under magnification. Achieving such a grade is incredibly difficult. Even tiny marks from handling at the mint can prevent a coin from reaching the top tier. For a 2016 no-mint mark penny to be worth serious money, it must be in extraordinary condition, often graded MS-67, MS-68, or even higher by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC. At these elite levels, population numbers drop sharply. While billions were minted, only a tiny fraction survive in pristine condition. Collectors are competitive. Registry set collectors, in particular, want the finest known examples of each date and mint combination. When only a few coins exist at the highest grade, bidding wars can erupt. That's when prices skyrocket. Another factor is eye appeal. Even among coins with the same grade, one with exceptional luster, rich red coloration, and flawless surfaces can attract stronger offers. Copper-plated zinc cents, like the 2016 penny, are prone to spotting and discoloration. Finding one with blazing red surfaces and no carbon spots is surprisingly difficult. Let's talk about composition. The 2016 Lincoln penny is made primarily of zinc, with a thin copper plating. Since 1982, most U.S. pennies have used this composition. While older copper pennies have intrinsic metal value, modern zinc cents rely purely on collector demand for premiums. Because these coins are modern, many people assume they can't be valuable. That assumption leads to overlooked treasures. Some collectors have discovered high-grade examples in mint rolls saved directly from banks. Others have found interesting errors in pocket change. The key is knowledge and careful inspection. If you want to check your own 2016 no-mint mark pennies, start by examining them under good lighting. Look for sharp details in Lincoln's hair and beard. Check the fields for scratches or spots. Inspect the reverse shield lines for crisp definition. And most importantly, search for unusual doubling or striking errors. If you suspect you have something special, consider submitting it to a professional grading service. Authentication and grading not only confirm the coin's condition, but also make it more appealing to serious buyers. Now imagine this scenario. A collector searches through hundreds of rolls of 2016 pennies. Most are average. But one coin stands out. Its surfaces are flawless. The luster is radiant. Every detail is razor sharp. After grading, it receives an exceptionally high mint state grade, placing it among the finest known examples. Competitive collectors take notice. Auctions begin. Bidding intensifies. Suddenly, a coin that most people would ignore becomes the centerpiece of a high-stakes auction. Stories like this are what make coin collecting so thrilling. It's not just about old coins from the 1800s. Even modern coins can surprise us. The combination of rarity and top condition, collector demand, and market timing can create astonishing results. The Lincoln penny itself carries emotional weight. For over a century, it has been part of American daily life. Generations have used it, saved it, and collected it. From wheat cents to memorial cents to the modern shield design, each era tells a story. The 2016 no-mint mark penny represents a modern chapter in that long journey. It may not be silver. It may not be ancient. But in the right condition, it can be extraordinary. Collectors often say the thrill is in the hunt. Searching rolls, checking change, studying varieties, and learning grading standards can transform an ordinary hobby into an exciting treasure quest. Knowledge is power in the coin world. The more you understand about minting processes, die varieties, and grading standards, the better your chances of spotting something valuable. It's also important to remember that coin values fluctuate. Market demand, population reports, and collector interest all play roles. What brings a record price one year might settle lower later, or climb even higher if demand increases. For anyone watching this video, take a moment to think about the pennies you've handled over the years. How many 2016 pennies passed through your hands without a second glance? Could one of them have been a high-grade gem? Could one have carried a rare error? The beauty of coin collecting is that it turns everyday objects into pieces of history and potential opportunity. A single cent, often ignored, can hold a story of craftsmanship, economics, and collector passion. And now, here comes the moment you've been waiting for. In exceptional condition, with the right combination of rarity, grade, and demand, a 2016 no-mint mark Lincoln Cent penny has reached an astonishing auction value of $46,343.